This woman accidentally trespassed into the forbidden grounds of an ancient castle. Inside, there actually lived a handsome vampire prince. The prince not only did not kill her, but instead treated her as a plaything. He tied people to a target and threw darts at them, and anyone who disobeyed would die. Linda was determined to personally kill the prince in order to avenge her father. In their repeated games of maneuvering, the vampire prince unexpectedly fell in love with her. Not long ago, while being hunted down, Linda fled into an abandoned ancient castle. To her surprise, the interior still retained the splendor of the early 18th century. A vampire suddenly pounced on her. She could hardly believe that in the 21st century, vampires could still exist. She turned to leave at once, thinking that perhaps the decaying fallen leaves here had bred miasma and caused hallucinations. Unexpectedly, the moment she opened the door, she ran into the prince's banquet. Disturbed, he looked displeased. How dare a human barge in? On the spot, he decided to reward Linda to his subordinates. From that moment on, she was forced to join a dangerous game. She pulled out her pistol and began firing wildly. The vampire immediately grew interested. A pistol? Linda pointed the gun at the prince and pulled the trigger without hesitation. But the bulletproof vampire blocked it with his bare hand. He licked his tongue. How interesting. Have pistols developed to this extent now? It's a pity. You should have replaced the bullets with silver. As he spoke, he pressed the muzzle against Linda's forehead. If you don't want to be eaten, then become my plaything. Linda forced herself to stay calm, her mind racing for a way to escape. Rather than be shot in the head, she might as well gamble on running. This action completely enraged the prince. With a wave of his hand and a spell, he instantly bound Linda tightly. Join my game. If you win, you can live. The vampire leaned close to her, lifting her chin. Should she beg to live or beg to die? As he spoke, he pulled Linda into his arms, his hands roaming freely over her body. Linda blushed and her heart pounded at this blatant teasing. As he sucked her blood, he whispered, "Can you endure it?" It was a game of desire. If you don't like it, there's another choice. I can throw you to the maids and let them eat you. The people around her stared hungrily. One of the maids addressed the vampire king, DeWitt. This familiar name made Linda's heart tremble. Wasn't this the monster who killed her father 15 years ago? Back then, he had drained her father's blood. Linda had not expected her enemy to be so close. Seeing Linda's hesitation, DeWitt grew bored and threw her to the maids as food. Tears welled in Linda's eyes. She could not die. Who would avenge her father? No matter the cost, she had to kill him. She quickly made up a reason to beg for her life. If I live, I can be useful, master. DeWitt merely glanced at her indifferently. Sounds good, but I never lack housekeepers. This human should die. Seeing things turn dire, Linda blurted out, "You don't lack servants. But what about a toy? A toy that recognizes only you as its master. Do you need one?" This amused the prince. He stepped forward and stroked her cheek. "You don't look like an obedient toy, but disobedient toys are often more fun than obedient ones." The prince ordered Linda to kneel at once, for only then could she prove herself a good toy. With a forceful push, he pressed her face toward his. What? Unwilling? Linda felt it was inconvenient and wanted her hands untied first. The prince would not be fooled so easily. He ordered the butler to replace her restraints with a more durable set. "Please, Miss Toy." Linda had successfully piqued the prince's interest, especially her rare green eyes. Now Linda lay on the bed like prey waiting to be slaughtered. The butler took out a syringe to draw her blood. Linda asked, "Am I the only human in this castle?" For the past 20 years, yes. That meant someone had come 20 years ago. To be precise, someone died here, and like you, had a pair of rare green eyes. That was clearly Linda's father. There was no mistake. The one who killed her father was him. It was DeWitt who had caused her suffering all these years. She swore silently to kill him. Tears streamed down her face. Suppressing her anger, she asked the butler, "Where did that person die?" The next second, the butler untied her restraints, urging Linda to leave quickly. "Go. I'm about to lose control." His face twisted grotesquely. He could not resist the lure of Linda's blood and struggled to suppress his desire. Linda looked puzzled. "There are vampires here who don't drink blood? Why control it?" "Because drinking blood is a sin. It causes death." Linda reached out her hand fearlessly. He seemed to be a vampire who still retained some humanity. Perhaps he could be won over and used. Linda handed the syringe filled with her blood to the butler. He roared at first, then gradually became docile. She removed his muzzle and had him cover his mouth with his hand, trusting that he could control himself and not harm anyone. The butler's eyes gradually cleared. He licked frantically, begging Linda to stroke him, repeatedly assuring, "I won't hurt you. I definitely won't." Afterward, he dressed Linda in a magnificent robe. "This was specially tailored for you. If you wear it, the prince will surely like it." Unexpectedly, after drinking her blood, he knelt on the ground, crying in repentance. Linda merely offered a few casual words of comfort, and he could not stop the tears from flowing. So, easily tamed, she felt secretly pleased, calling herself a genius at taming men. Then the butler took out a thong. The master specifically requested this, more durable restraints. "Shall I help you put it on?" Linda frowned. she had to wear something so perverse? She hurriedly drove the butler out. He was still savoring the scent of her blood when a mocking voice suddenly echoed in his ears. "It's rare to see you like a girl so much. Then I must personally destroy her." This was the butler's second personality. At this moment, Linda changed her clothes and walked toward the vampire king. He glanced at her casually. "Aren't you going to try? Didn't you say you wanted to be my toy?" Linda explained that it was inconvenient. "Is a mere pair of shorts enough to restrain you? If so, I'll feel that keeping you alive is worthless. What do you think, Miss Toy? Go prove your value to me." For the sake of revenge, Linda could only endure humiliation for now. Outside, the maids competed for favor, wondering why, after finally finding new prey, the king let only that woman in. They rushed forward in a swarm and accidentally knocked off one of the butler's blue contact lenses. Beneath it was a crimson eyeball. His second personality was about to awaken. Thinking of Linda being torn apart by the hungry snow wolves before the king excited him so much he trembled. He deliberately released the snow wolves. The next second, Linda was knocked to the ground, blood pouring from her wounds. Unbeknownst to her, the scent of her blood intoxicated all the vampires present. Her blood had no effect on the second personality, but the first struggled desperately to suppress himself. Even the lesser vampires outside swarmed in. Just when Linda thought she was doomed, the vampire king saved her, teleporting instantly to a safe secret chamber. He seized Linda by the throat, nearly suffocating her. "Did you do it on purpose? Get hurt and bleed deliberately to provoke my self-control? I hate restless women in my castle." Linda was too weak to argue, but she did not want to die here. Perhaps her blood could buy her life. The moment the king smelled her blood, he fell silent. He lowered his head and licked her bleeding wound frantically. "Her blood really worked?" The man said, "Inside Linda's body, there is actually my contract mark. I didn't expect this scheming woman to be my fiancée." Linda looked utterly confused, not understanding a word he said. The next second, the king ordered the butler to bring in the instruments of punishment. Soon, she was bound to a rotating wheel, and the dangerous game was about to begin. According to the rules, Linda had to endure the process without making a single sound. The king would consider not pursuing her deliberate bleeding, but if she cried out, she would be thrown to the snow wolves for dinner. Linda panicked instantly, asking why he was doing this. The king's expression darkened. He believed she had approached him with ulterior motives. "Linda, you managed to find the cursed castle in this dense forest. Precisely enter my room, and even bleed at just the right moment in front of me, so that I would accidentally discover your identity? Should I call you clever or foolish? My contracted fiancé?" He pressed a knife under Linda's chin. No matter how she tried to explain, she could not make herself clear. What the king hated most in his life was humans. Linda could only insist she had entered by accident. The king slid his finger into Linda's mouth, stirring, and slashed the blade through the air. Linda thought her death was imminent, but instead, the king untied her. "I'll give you one more chance. Answer properly." Linda's face flushed with humiliation from the torment. "If you don't like hearing the truth, master, then what kind of answer would satisfy you?" Seeing her like this, the king ordered the butler to bring that thing. "Let her enjoy it." The butler smiled wickedly. "Once that thing is used, it won't just torment her, it will torment you as well. Can you really endure it? I look forward to seeing you completely lose control, master." Linda thought it would be some terrifying instrument, but it turned out to be just a feather. The butler explained, "This feather is a sacred relic of Asmodeus, the demon of lust. It can awaken the deepest lust in one's heart, and it has been sprinkled with aphrodisiac. As your emotions fluctuate, the drug will disperse with the scent, infecting everyone who smells it." Linda was tormented to the point of nearly speechless. In the end, those who remain unsatisfied will lose their sanity and become beasts chasing pleasure. Even on the brink of pleasure, Linda bit her lip tightly, not daring to make a sound. Yet this faint, suppressed moan made the king's heart itch, nearly forcing Linda to cry out, "Before you die, I'll give you a swift end." She lured him in a seductive tone. "Master, why do you always watch others play, but never do it yourself? Is it because you can't?" Little did he know, when Linda was young, she had been sent by her boss to a trainer, where she and other girls underwent secret training. This world is interesting. It grants men the power to control it, yet gives them brains ruled by the desire to reproduce. Listen carefully, young spies. If you can see through men's lies, you can control them and obtain the intelligence you want. Linda asked how to distinguish them. The teacher leaned close to her. For example, when a man says, "I'm not interested in you," it must be false, because with your face and figure, God's masterpiece, no one would not love you. A man truly not interested would kill you outright for offending him, not say such ticklish words. That's when you use provocation. Provocation is the weapon that shatters their disguise. Her blood suddenly emitted an especially strong fragrance, a deadly temptation. The butler understood clearly. That aphrodisiac is incredibly potent. The king gripped Linda's chin. Cry out for me freely. You're going to die sooner or later anyway." Linda clenched her teeth. "I won't." He was barely holding on himself, but he could not collapse before she bowed her head. Both of them flushed and held on stubbornly, without moving. The dosage on the feather was increased for the third time. The king launched the fourth round of the game against Miss Toy. Unexpectedly, Linda fainted on the spot. The butler smiled coldly. Miss Linda is truly special. It's the first time I've seen someone endure the vampire aphrodisiac to this extent. How will you deal with this human? Master, grant her to the lower vampires. Or, the king instead ordered the butler to take Linda to the room on the third floor to rest, and to give her the antidote. Unexpectedly, the king would go this far for a woman. At this moment, Linda lay unconscious on the bed, while the king stood by, gently brushing her cheek. Has Master developed an appetite for Miss Linda? The king warned coldly, do not test me. She is far from worthy of being my food. At dawn, Linda awoke and found herself still alive. It seemed no one was watching her. Could she escape the castle? She moved toward the window to flee, but was bounced back by a magical barrier. A maid hurried over. Miss Linda, what are you doing? If you need anything, I can help you. Thus, the maid led Linda around the castle to familiarize her with the surroundings. Only then did Linda realize she had celebrated too early. She was still under surveillance everywhere. The maid explained, the entire second floor is the king's forbidden territory. Without his command, no one may enter. The king hates being disturbed the most. The more mysterious a place was, the more curious Linda became. The faintly glowing, mysterious passage greatly attracted her. The maid seemed to have other plans. She explained, that is the collection room, where the weapons seized by the king during battles are kept. Linda was instantly intrigued and wanted to go in and take a look. Ordinary guns could not kill the Demon King, but she still had her revenge to carry out. The maid immediately warned her, without the king's permission, no one may enter. Along the way, Linda was absent-minded. The maid glanced at her back. Sure enough, she was a lowly and rude human. The two arrived at the dilapidated hall. The vampires hold feasts and revel in the main hall every night, while daytime is their resting time. Just last night it had been so magnificent. Passing by one lounge after another, they finally reached the kitchen. At a glance, Linda was about to find an excuse to leave, but the maid suddenly grabbed her hair and dragged her into the kitchen. So timid. I really don't know what the king sees in her. Several maids surrounded her, mocking and ridiculing her. They jealously attacked Linda's beauty. Why do you get a private room? And even have Sister Emma personally take care of you? Emma revealed a wicked smile. If you ask me, she should be thrown into the basement on the lowest floor, locked up with those vampires who have lost their minds, and used as a public blood slave. Linda shrank into the corner in fear. Are they going to eat me? Her hand accidentally touched a knife. She had to find a way to protect herself. Only low-ranking vampires pounce and bite recklessly at the sight of food. And we are high-ranking vampires, so of course we will slowly torture you. Linda originally planned to use the Demon King's authority to suppress them. The Demon King ordered you to take good care of me, which means if I get hurt in your hands, you are defying his orders. This completely enraged the maids behind Emma, and they urged her to act. We were indeed ordered not to hurt you. But so what? I have plenty of ways to make you suffer. Sisters, hold her down. Emma brought over a tray of chicken blood that had been left to rot for half a year, with maggots still wriggling inside. Linda was drenched in sweat. If the Demon King finds out, none of you will escape. Emma burst into laughter. I merely accidentally gave you the wrong thing to eat. Unless you kneel right now and offer me your heart, your brain, and that pretty skin of yours. A human like you doesn't deserve even a shred of the king's attention. Only I am qualified. Linda's expression darkened. I'm not some Barbie doll for people to bully. She slashed two maids with the knife, stepped forward to grab Emma's hair, and shoved her face into the tray. I don't like the way you're breathing. Apologize to me, then escort me back to my room. Emma's face was covered in chicken blood, her eyes unable to open. Yet she continued to curse Linda. You lowly human. Don't even dream of making me apologize. Seeing that she refused to submit, Linda pressed her head into the chicken blood again to continue washing her face. What did you just say? It's too dirty. I can't hear you clearly. Wash up before speaking. The little demons nearby were stunned by the scene. Only then did Emma cry and reveal the mastermind behind it. It was Butler Loris's order. Please, let me go. Linda found it hard to believe. How could Butler Loris do such a thing? She had clearly already subdued him. Seeing that Linda did not believe her, the little demon swore, if we are lying, may we be immediately devoured to death by ants. He is on the second floor right now. We can take you to him, as long as you let us go. Linda had not intended to let them off easily in the first place. She hung them upside down over the sink, their faces toward the water. How about this, as punishment? If you can untie the rope yourselves before you suffocate, you can live. After saying that, she even praised herself for being so merciful. At this moment, the butler was leisurely enjoying afternoon tea on the second floor. He took out a blade and cut his finger, letting the blood slowly drip down, only to be stopped by Linda. Recently, you've stopped rejecting blood so much? The butler was preparing black tea for the Demon King. His Highness likes to try various flavors of floral tea. Linda went straight to the point. Emma's actions were instructed by you, weren't they? The butler was visibly stunned. not expecting them to confess everything. A human girl had actually caused such a commotion. Linda was puzzled. Why would you do that?
Do you dislike me?
Did I cross a line last time? Exposed on the spot, the butler lowered his head guiltily, while inwardly cursing this troublesome human. In order not to reveal his determination to kill her, he defended himself in a tearful voice. Please don't think that way. I've never thought like that. I don't dislike you at all. Linda grabbed the butler by the collar. Then tell me why? With a flick of her hand, Linda threw the butler aside, and he stumbled and fell to the ground. You ordered those maids to bully me, didn't you, Loris? The butler was almost frightened to tears, saying, I can explain. While stammering, Linda warned him fiercely again, demanding a reasonable explanation. The butler first asked Linda to stand up to talk, but she refused, instead moving even closer. I hate being toyed with the most. If you really hate me, then kill me openly. At such close eye contact, the butler's face uncontrollably turned red. It was too close, so close that he could not think at all. He swallowed and explained, I don't dislike you, nor do I want to eat you. Linda froze. Eat me? So Loris is a vampire who doesn't like drinking blood. She pressed him step by step, forcing him to tell the truth. Tell me everything you know about the Demon King DeWitt, and I'll let you take a bite here. She extended her slender hands in front of him for him to touch. The butler's hair stood on end, and he pushed Linda away. You don't need to do that. What you want to know, I can tell you directly. I had those maids act against you because you discovered our secret. Vampires fear water. They're corroded when they come into contact with it. That is a vampire's weakness. Little did she know, all of this was made up by the butler on the spot. Yet it immediately formed a plan in Linda's mind. Overjoyed, Linda threw herself at the butler and hugged him, hurriedly apologizing. I misunderstood you, Loris. Then you can drink my blood. The butler's heart sank abruptly, and he quickly refused. As long as I can still control myself for one day, I will never drink blood, and we are good friends. How could I hurt you? As he spoke, he turned and gently kissed the back of Linda's hand. I swear to you. After laughing carelessly, Linda left gracefully. Only then did the butler barely relax, desperately suppressing the desire for Linda deep in his heart. The second personality in his mind cursed angrily. You idiot. She deliberately stirred up your appetite just to use you, and you can't even see that? Of course the first personality could see it, yet he replied calmly, there are too many people who want to use me. At least I don't dislike Miss Linda. The second personality took out a pair of colored contact lenses from the drawer. I will personally destroy her and make you. This first personality, watch as your favorite human, for offending the Demon King, is toyed with until she collapses by the Demon King. At this moment, Linda carefully dressed up and, carrying afternoon tea, arrived at the Demon King's door. On the surface, she appeared nonchalant, but no one knew what scheme she was plotting in her heart. Linda first massaged the Demon King's temples, then slowly moved down to his chest muscles. Master, is this pressure all right? Next, I'll give you a facial massage. As she spoke, Linda took out a water pouch from behind her and splashed it fiercely onto the Demon King's head. Disappear for me. But even after all the water was poured out, the Demon King remained seated, unmoving. He slowly turned his head to look at her.
What do you mean by this?
Then he threw the woman aside. Trying to kill me? Linda hurriedly apologized and begged for mercy. The Demon King lifted her chin. Who taught you to do this? Linda did not reveal that it was the butler who had told her. Little did she know, this was precisely the butler's scheme of killing with a borrowed knife. Her chin was gripped tightly by him. The Demon King's emotions grew increasingly out of control. Not talking? Do you believe I will kill you right now? Linda could barely breathe. The Demon King had endured for so long. This time, he was truly enraged by her. He suddenly grabbed Linda by the hair, with just a few drops of water. You thought you could hurt me? Do you think I wouldn't tear up the contract to kill you? Or did you think I would be easily bewitched like others? Linda was tortured until tears streamed down her face, and she barely managed to squeeze out a few words. DeWitt, it hurts. It hurts. The slightly seductive tone made the Demon King's reason begin to waver. The next second, he had already opened his mouth and bitten toward Linda's neck. The vampire stubbornly claimed he would not be bewitched by a human, yet his body had already acted honestly. He fiercely bit into the girl's neck, frantically drinking Linda's blood, and Linda seemed to be ensnared by an invisible net, unable to struggle for a moment, nor wanting to. She only softly protested a few times. The Demon King's face was flushed red. I don't need to look at others. What? I said I don't need to look at others. I can do it myself. As he spoke, he fiercely kissed Linda's lips. Linda murmured in her heart, what an honest body. And every move between the two of them was watched by the butler hiding in the corner. Let that forever calm, restrained, high and mighty DeWitt fall together with her. Once you have tasted the flavor of desire, can you still maintain that noble air of everyone else is drunk while I alone am sober? Come on, throw away your principles. Become the kind of person you despise the most, and together with that woman, slowly sink into desire. At that moment, Linda touched the gun at the Demon King's waist. quickly disengaged the safety, and, without hesitation, pulled the trigger at his chin. The bullet pierced through the top of his skull. Linda herself was stunned, unable to believe that the powerful demon king she had painstakingly tried to kill from the very beginning had been so easily killed by her. Emma curled her lips into a strange smile. At that moment, the butler rushed in. Quick! Prepare the plasma. Master is severely injured. Several people hurriedly carried the demon king away. As they brushed past each other, the demon king suddenly called Linda's name. The look he gave her sent chills down her spine. Linda was still uneasy. Is he really dead? At that moment, the butler grabbed Linda by the neck and roared angrily. Foolish human, what do you think is sustaining this abandoned castle? If he truly dies, you will be buried along with him. He ordered Emma to lock her up. If the master dies, you don't need to live either. At this moment, the Demon King was undergoing a resurrection ritual, and all the servants were praying in low voices. Meanwhile, Linda was escorted to the prison by Emma. A human like you deserves to be tortured to death inside, but you must not die too easily. She then ordered the little demons to torture her well. Linda trembled all over, frightened by their terrifying faces, and begged repeatedly, as long as you don't kill me, you can drink my blood every day and eat your fill at every meal. A little demon was about to pounce, but was knocked aside by another. He leaned close to Linda and whispered for her to keep screaming, so the guards wouldn't notice. Linda was in disbelief. You're conscious? He removed his mask. He was a silver-haired, handsome youth. He introduced himself as whole. I'm a werewolf infiltrated here. You're human, right? Do you want to cooperate with me? Linda's suspended heart slowly settled down. It was said that long ago, werewolves and vampires were natural enemies. A patrolling guard heard the commotion and walked over. Linda hurriedly put on a pitiful expression. Help me. Hearing that a little demon was planning a jailbreak, the guard immediately turned and chased after it. The werewolf supported Linda. Miss Linda, are you alright? The werewolf was in disbelief. Did you really kill the Demon King? Linda's emotions were complicated. This was the first time she had truly felt what it was like for a bullet to pierce a skull at close range. Logically speaking, the Demon King should certainly be dead, right? Did this count as avenging her father? Tears slid from the corners of her eyes. The werewolf, however, blushed. Linda looked confused. I'm crying. Why are you blushing? Following the werewolf's gaze, she looked down at her legs, her white stockings exposed, and Linda hurriedly covered them shyly. The werewolf's eyes instantly filled with admiration. Miss Linda was actually able to kill the Demon King single-handedly. This was the greatest dream of my life. Linda grabbed the werewolf by the collar and said to him sternly, if the Ghost King is really dead, the entire castle might collapse. We must escape as soon as possible. The werewolf replied, but wasn't this just built?
How could that be?
In Linda's memory, the castle was built in the 18th century and had stood for 300 years. To outsiders, it had long appeared abandoned. Linda came back to her senses and asked the werewolf what year he had entered. I came in a week ago. It was 1833 when I entered. Just a week ago, the king issued a new decree allowing werewolves to enter the city. To celebrate my coming of age, my mother even went into the city to buy me a new outfit. I can finally show my tail openly. Linda suddenly realized it was 2023 now. What exactly was going on? A time displacement or a parallel world? After he rescued her, he felt that calling her Miss Linda sounded too distant and asked if he could call her sister instead. Linda panicked. That's not very appropriate, is it? If he had truly lived to the modern era by sheer longevity, then his actual age might be older than even her grandfather's grandfather. Linda reached out to pat his head, and the werewolf obediently lowered it for her. It's just a form of address. If you like, you can call me sister too. The werewolf's face flushed bright red. Oh no. He could hardly hide it anymore. He was about to transform. It seemed he had developed feelings for Linda as well. Happily, he took Linda's hand to leave. They found a dog hole, which was a small door leading to the garden. Just then, the werewolf was struck by an invisible force. So all your careful plotting to kill me was just to elope with this underage werewolf? The Ghost King had returned from the dead. With his feeble early spring stamina, I'm afraid he can't satisfy you. My fiancé. Linda was stunned. You're actually not dead? Furious, the Ghost King found it inconvenient to attack Linda directly, so he planned to kill the werewolf first. As he pointed a finger toward the werewolf, the butler instantly rushed forward. Linda used her body to shield him, pleading with the Ghost King not to kill him. The Ghost King's expression darkened bit by bit. What right do you have to make demands? He reached out and lifted Linda's chin. For daring to hurt me, letting you live instead of dying with him is already your greatest fortune. Linda cried miserably. I know my crime is unforgivable. Being alive is already your mercy. But I also hope everyone can hear your pardon. That is the gospel of your resurrection. Please spare him. He is weak and cannot harm you at all. He will pray for your blessing. The Ghost King froze. He released Linda. You say my resurrection is a gospel? In his ears suddenly echoed the roars of the past. DeWitt. Being alive is your original sin. You are the most sinful among the Blood clan.
Go die.
When he opened his eyes again, he saw Linda praying sincerely. Seeing her pray so earnestly, he agreed to spare the werewolf, but on the condition that he take Linda's body and soul. The Ghost King's mood instantly improved. Can you satisfy me? Cold sweat ran down Linda's back. The werewolf immediately objected. You must never give your soul to such a demon for my sake. Before he could finish, the butler covered his mouth. Interrupting others' conversation is hardly proper etiquette for a gentleman. To regain the Ghost King's trust, Linda could only submit. The Ghost King ordered her to recite a vow. I will follow you to the death. Linda could clearly feel that he was in an excellent mood at this moment. He pulled Linda into his arms and made her lift her head. In front of the werewolf, he commanded, kiss me, obey me. Linda felt some resistance. Wasn't giving you my soul enough? How can you go back on your word? The werewolf was frantic yet powerless. It's over. Miss Linda will surely continue sacrificing herself to save me. However, Linda firmly rejected the deal. The Ghost King's heart trembled and the smile vanished from his face. Linda felt that being alive was already enough, but her purest first kiss should be reserved for the one she would spend her life with, not used casually in a transaction. The Ghost King paid no heed and suddenly captured Linda's lips in a kiss. Perfect. I am the lover you will spend your life with. The vampire forced the girl, in front of the werewolf, to kiss him and obey him. Before she could refuse, the Ghost King lowered his head to kiss her, then bit into Linda's neck and sucked her sweet blood. Linda's heart pounded as if about to explode, and her body grew hot, as though something had been fully awakened. From now on, you are my fiancé, Mississippi. The Ghost King held a ceremony for his rebirth. Logically, those who had betrayed the Ghost King were doomed to die. But Linda became the exception. Among that pile of corpses, you are the only one who can stand here alive. Linda stood stiffly, having no idea how to respond. Although the werewolf had narrowly survived, he was thrown into prison, where even imps could bully him at will. Thinking of how Linda had bravely sacrificed herself for him, he never expected his sister to go that far. His face filled with guilt. His mind was full of her brave figure. At this moment, he grew even more frantic, swearing to rescue her. I will become her most loyal knight, even if it costs my life. The more frightened his fiancé appeared, the more excited the vampire became. Linda, in order to survive, could only take the initiative to serve him. It was the first time the Ghost King had seen her so terrified. There's no need for you to serve me.
Sit down.
Linda was completely confused by his unpredictable moods. From today on, you need not be as humble as a servant. You must learn to enjoy being served. Linda asked him why. Perhaps it's because of that time. That year, DeWitt was pierced through the heart by an arrow shot by his own brother. Because among the Blood clan there had never been familial affection, they were always enemies to each other. At that moment, a young girl ran up crying, shouting, "You killed my father. I'll kill you." Seeing the girl's green pupils, his brother grew excited. Another meal delivered to his door. Just as his brother was about to pounce, DeWitt used all his remaining strength to seal him, swearing in blood and bearing the blood curse. From then on, his blood became foul and rotten, and the only antidote was right before his eyes. When the girl thought she would be eaten as well, DeWitt merely cast her a cold glance and turned away. From then on, the girl believed DeWitt to be her father's killer. She swore that when she grew up, she would kill DeWitt with her own hands to avenge her father. Now the girl had returned to DeWitt's side. She had grown into an adult. It was you, Linda. The Ghost King felt that Linda was never fully obedient and was pondering how to punish her. Linda had long been unable to figure out his thoughts. One moment he would spare her, the next he would punish her. She decided she had to find a way to take the offensive. She couldn't keep playing loyal dog roleplay with him every day. The Ghost King pulled Linda onto his lap. Since you know you were wrong, your punishment is that you may never betray me again. As long as you fulfill your vow, I can consider granting you a position second only to me. With his face so close, Linda blushed. She could clearly feel his light breathing. She noticed his mood seemed to be improving, so she agreed without hesitation. The Ghost King placed a ring containing a trace of his power on Linda's finger. Then he pulled her into his arms. There are rewards and punishments. From now on, you must take the initiative to kiss me once every day. Linda obediently leaned in and kissed him, thinking to herself, forget kissing. If he gives me more power, I'll do anything. Thus the two felt each other's warmth. The Ghost King remarked that Linda had become so well-behaved. They kissed so passionately that they finally fell to the ground together. When Linda was almost out of breath, the Ghost King suddenly amended, from now on, you must kiss me at least 3 times a day. After saying that, he left a mark on Linda's neck. Stammering in fright, Linda said, "Take 3 times?" The Ghost King continued drinking her blood as if nothing had happened. A few hours later, the butler sensed that the Ghost King might truly have feelings for Linda. As soon as the words were spoken, the Ghost King coldly warned, "Loris, you have overstepped." The butler immediately apologized repeatedly. "I was only worried that human might deceive you." The usually ruthless Ghost King, however, was exceptionally tolerant toward Linda. His blood, which had long been foul and rotten, had now turned bright red because this girl was his only antidote. As for emotions, to him, they were the most useless things. He instructed the butler, starting tomorrow, arrange more dates that can enhance our relationship. The butler was already plotting malicious ideas, for he would never allow the Ghost King to grow soft toward that woman. Yet Loris, the butler's primary personality, was completely obedient to Linda and warned the second personality, Murray, not to harm her. Murray tried to brainwash him. You've just been seduced. Have you forgotten how the master saved you? Of course, Loris had not forgotten. But Linda was also the first person willing to offer him her blood voluntarily, and she even said he had done nothing wrong. There must be hidden reasons why Linda had hurt the master like that. No matter what, she could not be harmed. Enraged, Murray grabbed Loris by the throat. Have you ever wondered why you, who were never interested in human blood, only like hers? She must have tampered with that jar of blood. From beginning to end, she only wanted to win you over to betray the master. These words completely provoked Loris. He instead sealed away Murray's consciousness. Murray panicked. I promise not to hurt her. Please let me out, okay? Soon after, he changed his tone again. Not hurt her? Impossible. Then let's make use of a woman's jealousy. Meanwhile, back in her room, Linda was staring blankly at the ring the Ghost King had given her, trying various methods to activate its power, but nothing happened. At this rate, when would she ever break into the prison to rescue the werewolf? Did it require mental power to activate it? Linda kept shouting in her mind, DeWitt, DeWitt, DeWitt. The Ghost King, who was bathing, immediately sensed it. My little toy is thinking of me again. He ordered the butler to bring Linda over. Soon, the girl was brought to the bathroom door. The Ghost King told her to bathe him. Linda's face turned crimson as she stood frozen, thinking such matters should be handled by professional maids. The Ghost King looked helpless. Are you dissatisfied with being alone with me? Linda dared not delay. She quickly picked up the water pitcher and poured water over him. The butler, however, intended to stir up trouble secretly. He raised his hand to cast a spell. Linda stumbled and fell into the bathtub, landing directly against the Ghost King's firm chest. He was quite pleased. I didn't expect you to be so proactive today. Did you secretly do something to betray me? Linda felt guilty. Of course I want to, but I haven't had the chance yet. Maybe that strange fall just now was your doing. She had no choice but to take the initiative to please him and lower his guard. Linda licked his chest. I missed you, master, so I wanted to be closer. The Ghost King praised her. Such an honest child. He lifted her chin. Your master will reward you with a gift. Before Linda could wonder whether it was another ring, the Ghost King kissed her directly. The two entangled in the water. Next time you miss me, be more proactive. Don't always wait for me to teach you. Using his hand, he asked her in a low voice, do you like it? When she did not answer, he intensified his movements. Linda asked him in return, don't you ever feel shy? At this level, making me feel shy would be rather difficult. The vampire who had lived for thousands of years truly possessed a girl for the first time. It had been a long time since he had felt so relaxed and happy. He could clearly sense his own heartbeat accelerating. All of these emotions were brought by her. At this moment, the maid who had a crush on the Ghost King rushed over carrying clothes. By her ears, she heard a woman's suppressed resistance coming from the bathroom. Don't. Emma lifted her eyes and saw that scorching scene. The Ghost King paid no attention to the person at the door. He simply continued teasing Linda on his own. How did you push against me just now? This sentence instantly ignited Emma's jealousy. Her master, who had always been high and mighty, how could he allow a human to make such a move on him? Linda had already lost herself, continuously calling out master, master, when normally she would address him directly by name. The Ghost King looked at her and teased, what? You can't take it already? Linda hadn't expected things to develop to this extent. Clearly, she had been preparing to pull away and leave. Thinking back, just now, it was she who had taken the initiative first, which led to this situation. Linda's mind was filled with one thought, rescue her werewolf younger brother, and then kill him. The Ghost King suddenly brought up the ring. Do you know how to use it? Linda instantly put on an attentive smile. Master, feel free to command me. The Ghost King disliked having someone stand while speaking to him. He ordered Linda to sit on his lap. No matter how Emma reminded him at the door, the Ghost King pretended not to hear. Linda spoke ambiguously to please him. My admiration for you, master, is like an adventurer's innate obsession with danger. Leaving you for even a second makes my whole body feel uncomfortable. She had thought those words would earn her more benefits. Unexpectedly, the reward she received was being pushed straight into the wolf's jaws. Emma, who had been completely ignored at the side, had a face twisted with resentment. That is clearly my king, mine. I'll kill you. Carrying a lamp, she walked toward the basement. To prevent Linda from rising in status, she had to do something. Following the instructions in the letter, she came to a secret chamber deep within the castle and found the Calamity sleeping inside the ancient Ogamozi castle. She did not hesitate to awaken it with her blood. If possible, she wanted power, the power to control everything and unparalleled beauty as well. because she would use them to bewitch DeWitt. In an instant, the deal was sealed. At that moment, a male servant happened to pass by on patrol and discovered that Emma had actually awakened the calamity. Just as he was about to turn around to report it, Emma suddenly turned her head and forced the man to face her directly. The man's entire body stiffened instantly, completely unable to move. Emma ordered him to erase his memory of what had just happened and incite the other low-ranking vampires to rebel. Like a puppet that had lost its own will, the male servant obediently complied. Emma was overjoyed. She was no longer the humble maid who toiled without complaint. Overnight, she transformed into the most dazzling rising star of the entire vampire clan and renamed herself Agi. The girl had just finished tumbling with a vampire in the bathtub when she was immediately dragged to the training ground. The Ghost King forced her legs apart and tightened her arms, making her shoot the bullseye. According to the game's rules, as long as she failed to hit the target, Linda would not be allowed to keep a single piece of clothing on. Linda was speechless, bitterness choking her heart. She thought to herself that she must not let the Ghost King get his way. The Ghost King leaned close to her ear and whispered, "If you still miss the target, then change it to coming to my room at night to serve me in bed." He clearly intended to distract her on purpose, yet unexpectedly Linda hit a perfect 10. Seeing her smile so happily, the Ghost King instead felt displeased. "You really dislike coming to serve me that much?" "I do want to, of course I do, but I can't let your entire afternoon of instruction go to waste." The Ghost King was so coaxed by that sweet remark that the corners of his lips kept rising. He also honored the bet. He sat back on the stool. "Linda, come and undress me." The rules of the game were, if Linda missed, she would take off one piece of her own clothing. If she hit, it would be the Ghost King's turn. Linda's whole body stiffened. He himself was completely at ease. Though she had won, she inexplicably felt like she had suffered a loss. She walked up to the Ghost King, her hands trembling, about to undress him. But he grabbed her wrist. "Before you undress me, aren't you planning to kiss your master first?" They had clearly already kissed for so long just now, and the corner of her lips was even broken. She had intended to use that as an excuse to withdraw, but the Ghost King only wanted her to do it gently. Linda clenched her teeth. Anyway, it wouldn't make much difference today. So she took the initiative to kiss him, blushing all over. She looked at the Ghost King. "That's enough, right?" But the Ghost King was far from satisfied. Just as Linda was about to speak, her lips were sealed again. The Ghost King meant that none of the earlier ones counted. They were just practice. The 3 daily kisses required. This was only the first one. Just like that, Linda was forced to sit on his lap. Inside the Vampire King's dressing room, waves of ambiguous sounds rose and fell. Clearly, she had won the game. Yet in the end, she was still forced to serve the Ghost King in bed. "You said a bed is a bet first." Linda forcibly preserved the last trace of her rationality and pushed him away. Though unwilling, the Ghost King could only reluctantly agree. This time, she finally escaped from the wolf's jaws for the first time. Linda lowered her head to look at the ring on her hand, thinking, today wasn't a total loss. Next time, she still had to find a way to get more benefits from him. Next time, I must think of a way that can satisfy her wishes, and also make her obediently come to serve me at night, and pamper her even more. I want her to love me a little more. The Ghost King's mind was full of Linda, while Linda only thought about how to kill her father's murderer. Fortunately, she had left in time just now. Otherwise, she would almost have had relations with her enemy. At this moment, she heard a group of maids whispering outside the door. "This should be the first time Master has summoned us since his resurrection. I'm so happy. Master hasn't forgotten us because of that human. Will Master play games with us like before? I really love those games." Linda hid behind a corner and eavesdropped, unable to help sighing. She had just left, and he was already impatient to summon them. She only heard one of the maids say, "In the name of love, make that lofty man willingly lower his head and humbly offer me everything." Linda caught the key phrase. In the name of love, can it really make him submit? At this moment, a familiar yet unfamiliar figure appeared. It was Emma, who had already changed her appearance. Agi. But no one seemed to recognize who stood before them. They only felt that this figure and face were even more beautiful than that human. Agi knocked on the Ghost King's door. "Master, I've come to serve you." She glanced at Linda hiding behind the wall, sneering inwardly. "I will definitely defeat you." Linda felt a faint displeasure in her heart. How could she be jealous over an enemy? It was simply ridiculous. She might as well think more about how to gain more benefits from him and then kill him to avenge her father. She had thought that the newly beautiful Agi would easily win the Ghost King's favor, but unexpectedly the Ghost King told them all to get out. "Who allowed you to come in? I don't need you." Seeing a group of maids gathered at the Ghost King's door, Linda still couldn't help feeling a slight sourness in her heart. Who would have thought that just after their revelry, he could immediately play games with a group of maids? Little did she know that all of this was secretly manipulated by Agi, because she had awakened the calamity and thus obtained power second only to one and above all others. Agi was startled by that roar and pushed all her resentment onto Linda in her heart. It must be that she used some despicable means to cause Master's temperament to change so drastically. Seeing that she still didn't withdraw, The Ghost King coldly shouted again, "Get out." Ajai's jealousy would only grow more frenzied. She swore she would make Linda's life worse than death. At this time, Linda was wandering alone in the castle when she was suddenly attacked from behind by a little ghoul. Linda's combat ability was no decoration. With a single kick, she sent the ghoul tumbling down the stairs. Her face was full of confusion. What was going on? Weren't ghouls absolutely forbidden from going upstairs without permission? This one had even completely lost its sanity. It was the lowest-ranking vampire. Before she had time to think further, a swarm of vampire ghouls rushed toward her, catching Linda off guard. She had no choice but to quickly use the combat ring given by the Ghost King. In no time, the energy in the ring was completely depleted, and she could only watch helplessly as the ghouls pounced toward her, just as she thought she was about to die here. With a single gesture, the Ghost King repelled all the ghouls and pulled Linda tightly into his arms, asking with concern, "Are you hurt?" Linda's face was full of shock. At this time, he should have been in his room playing games with the maids. How could he have specially come to save her? The Ghost King glanced at the ring on Linda's hand and discovered that its energy was completely exhausted. "Were you planning to use it to manipulate the lower blood clan into rioting? Is this how you treat the thing I bestowed upon you?" Before Linda could open her mouth to explain, he continued, "In the entire castle, only my ring and yours can control everyone's actions. Were you so eager to cause trouble on my behalf?" Linda was speechless to the extreme. How much energy the ring has and what it can do, you should know best, shouldn't you? It can't even ensure self-defense. If you really want to kill me, you could just be direct. Why go through such a big detour? After saying that, she directly guided the Ghost King's hand to her own neck. "What? Do you still think you've been wronged? Or do you think I won't kill you?" Linda roared. "It's not that I think so. I was wrong to begin with." The Ghost King looked into her eyes. There was not the slightest trace of lying in them. He couldn't help but be stunned, and the strength in his hand gradually loosened. At this moment, Ajai was hiding in the shadows observing. This was bad. The master's attitude was softening. She slowly walked to the Ghost King's side and called in a syrupy voice, "Master." On the surface, she was pleading for Linda, but in reality, every sentence subtly pointed blame at her. Linda completely failed to recognize who the person before her was. It was their first meeting, yet her hostility was so obvious. She heard the other party introduce herself as Ajai, and even link arms with her, insisting on pulling her to apologize to the Ghost King together. Linda saw through it clearly. She had taken her as a rival and competing for favor. Linda shook off Ajai's hand. "Don't speak to me in that tone as if we're familiar. I don't know you at all." She stretched out her hand, wanting to prove herself on the spot. "This is the defective ring you gave me." With a wave of her hand, the ring suddenly erupted with a powerful force, directly blasting Ajai to the ground. The ring that had just completely malfunctioned. Could someone be manipulating it in secret? This instantly enraged the Ghost King. He turned around and shouted sternly, "Linda, have you had enough?" The maid lying on the ground pitifully pretended to be weak. But the two of them were busy arguing and no one paid her any attention. Linda retorted, "I'm not making a scene. If this counts as making a scene, then what doesn't?" The moment those words left her mouth, she unexpectedly felt the ball of anger in her heart miraculously begin to extinguish, leaving only disappointment. Yet she herself didn't even know when she had started to have even a trace of expectation toward him. Linda dropped the two rings onto the ground with a clang. "Since you don't trust me, then don't give me these things. Otherwise, I'll mistakenly think that your rewards are as cheap as your favor." The Ghost King stood frozen in place. Beside him, Ajai was still weakly calling, "Master, Master, it hurts so much." Only then did the Ghost King seem to come back to his senses. Just as he was about to reach out to help her up, Ajai's eyes instantly flashed with a glimmer of anticipation. The next second, the Ghost King withdrew his hand. He called the butler Loris over. "Go find out the whole story behind this matter. Also, throw this woman out. I don't want to see her again." Ajai hurriedly begged for mercy. She had thought she could control the Ghost King with her pretty face, never expecting such an outcome. Linda was deeply hurt by the Ghost King's suspicion and manipulation, and his possessiveness was extreme. Without his permission, she could not leave on her own. Before she could recover her senses, she heard the butler knocking on the door. Under his master's orders, he had come to investigate the vampire losing control. The moment the butler entered, he was already scheming. He saw Linda sitting on a chair, still unable to suppress her anger. The butler's heart tightened, thinking that Linda was preparing to assassinate his master. Linda held a knife, her face full of anger. "I didn't expect a wit to send someone to investigate me." At this time, the butler was still trying to persuade her kindly. Linda probed, "If it were true, what would you do?" The next second, the butler's second personality suddenly surfaced, and his whole demeanor turned ferocious. "If anyone dares to assassinate my master, I will make her die. But she must die reasonably, at someone else's hands." On the surface, however, the butler could only go along with Linda. "Of course I support you in assassinating the master. We can carefully discuss a plan." Linda burst into laughter. She picked up an apple and began peeling it. "When did I ever say I was going to kill DeWitt? What the girl wanted was to make the high and mighty Ghost King kneel. The loyal butler stared in disbelief. Linda instead praised him. "The master treats me so well. Why would I kill him?" She slowly approached the butler and pressed on. "What about you? Aren't you known as DeWitt's most loyal butler? How could you support me in hurting your master? Don't tell me some nonsense about falling in love with me. I won't believe it." As she spoke, she lightly pressed the tip of the knife against the side of the butler's face. Linda knew very well that a mere favor of one drop of blood could never buy him over so easily. The only reasonable explanation was that he was acting. Thinking back to the beginning, Loris had always been like a bystander. He had hardly ever truly helped Linda. He had not even offered a single word of comfort. Linda suspected that DeWitt had instructed the butler to act this way, making her believe she had an ally in this ghostly castle. In reality, she had been alone from beginning to end. Linda cupped the butler's face with her hands and found that his fangs had not extended. Even Murray, who had always been full of malice toward her, was wavering bit by bit. Loris observed this. "I told you before, Miss Linda is very kind and very likable." Murray hurriedly told him to shut up. "You don't need to remind me. From now on, I will treat her well." Murray's affection for her soared. "Miss Linda, if you need anything in the future, I will certainly do my utmost." Linda happened to have something she wanted to ask. She wanted to know what DeWitt liked. Of course, beauty and blood. And these two things happened to be fully possessed by Linda. She grew curious again. Then what type of beauty does he like? Has there ever been a mistress of this castle before? The Ghost King prefers cold and aloof beauties, but he detests those who are overly proactive. But Linda clearly remembered that he loved playing all kinds of games with the maids. Could it be that those were merely performances for others to see? Murray did not answer further. Instead, he bowed first and asked Linda to extend her hand to him.
He slowly bent down.
Linda's heart tightened. "What are you trying to do?" Murray gently bit Linda's hand. Then he placed a light kiss on the back of her hand. The hand kiss is the highest etiquette by which vampires express sincerity. "I hope you will no longer doubt my true heart." Linda could only choose to believe him. Looking at the bite mark left on the back of her hand, Murray humbly apologized again. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bite so hard." Linda was quite satisfied. This could be used to play a game of playing hard to get with the Ghost King. She reached out and lightly tapped his shoulder. "This is your reward from me. One drop of blood." For the first time, Murray tasted such sweet blood. That night, Murray went to report the results to the Ghost King. The matter of the low-level vampire losing control has nothing to do with Miss Linda. The Ghost King stared at the two rings lying quietly on the table, lost in thought. Murray probed, "Master, are you planning to apologize to Miss Linda?" The Ghost King remained stubborn. "Apologize? I need to apologize to her? What is she doing in her room right now?" "When I was investigating today, Miss Linda was in her room, quietly peeling an apple." The Ghost King froze for a moment. "She still had the mood to eat an apple? It seems she doesn't take me to heart at all." This sentence completely ignited the Ghost King's possessiveness. "Have her come tomorrow to attend my bed." The next day, Linda was arranged to wear beautiful clothes. Carrying morning tea, she arrived at the Ghost King's door. The moment he saw Linda, his heart stirred restlessly. "Why is she so beautiful today?" Seeing the girl dressed sexily, the Vampire King commanded dominantly, "Come closer." Linda hurriedly refused. "I wouldn't dare. According to your rules, I must not get too close while serving you." The Ghost King changed the rule on the spot and ordered that from now on she must serve him at meals and personally feed him. Linda handed an unpeeled apple to the Ghost King. The Ghost King looked disdainful. "Is this how you serve your master?" Linda wanted to play hard to get and said coldly, "If master is dissatisfied, perhaps you could have someone else serve you?" This completely ignited the Ghost King's competitive spirit. With a snap of his fingers, he made Linda fly straight into his arms. Linda fed the apple into his mouth, and only then did the Ghost King taste it with satisfaction. "The taste is quite good."
Continue.
"Humans have the habit of peeling apples before eating them. Would you like to try, master?" The Ghost King tightly wrapped an arm around her waist. While she was peeling, he deliberately spoke to distract her. The moment she lost focus, the knife accidentally cut her finger. The Ghost King immediately took her finger into his mouth. "Does it hurt? I'll handle the rest." Linda withdrew her finger and found an excuse to leave, explaining that the floor was a bit dirty and she needed to fetch a rag to clean it. Her small figure slipped away sheepishly. Before long, she returned with a bucket of water. She scrubbed the floor diligently. As expected, the master has taken the bait. But it wasn't enough yet. The Ghost King then asked Linda to wipe the bookshelf as well, since it was quite dusty. Seeing such a tall bookshelf, it wasn't hard for Linda to imagine he was doing it on purpose. Linda had no choice but to ask the Ghost King to come over and help. The Ghost King, secretly pleased, was more than willing. He lifted Linda up in one motion, holding her high above his head. Pressing against Linda's back, his heart grew restless. At this moment, his face was close against her back, and ripples stirred in his heart. He solemnly apologized for what had happened before. "I will return the ring to you." Linda deliberately revealed the bite mark on the back of her hand. The Ghost King noticed it at a glance. "You're hurt? How did this happen? Let me see." Linda pretended to be nervous and withdrew her hand, explaining, accidentally bumped into something. This instantly enraged the Ghost King. He grabbed Linda's hand forcefully. Where did you bump into something? Is this why you only want to be a maid? Linda pretended not to care. This drove the Ghost King even more frantic. Don't know? Then let me tell you. The wound on the back of your hand is clearly the bite mark of a male vampire.
Speak.
Who is he? What Linda wanted was precisely this furious and humiliated look. The Ghost King looked as if he was about to go mad. Listen to me. I won't pursue what happened in the past. From now on, if you're willing to continue being my fiancé, I will not only give you a position above all others, but I can also grant you one wish, any wish at all. Linda's plan had finally worked. He had taken the bait. Unexpectedly, what Linda wanted was freedom, but she was already free in herself. You are my fiancé. No one will restrict your movements. But what Linda wanted was not this kind of physical freedom. She wanted more rights to accept and to refuse. For example, she could enjoy the service of the maids. She could also refuse them and make them stay away. The Ghost King understood. You want to refuse me? Linda did not dare to refuse openly. Ghost King, I am the master's fiancé. I can do anything. The Ghost King put the ring back on Linda's finger. He lay down on the sofa and told her to come and help him change clothes. Linda could only obediently comply. She slowly undid the Ghost King's clothes, revealing those perfect 10-pack abs. Linda's face flushed red. Master, I'm finished. The Ghost King said nothing, only staring at her. Embarrassed, Linda quickly sat up straight. Master is teasing me again. Inwardly, she couldn't help complaining. Damned a wit. He really knows how to torment people. The Ghost King loved even more this woman who always kept him at arm's length. You call this teasing? Ordinary maids don't even get this opportunity, yet you show no appreciation. This made Linda sulk. Isn't that so? I am clearly the master's fiancé, yet you still treat me like a maid. The Ghost King pulled the maid forcefully into his arms. Then what do you want? Everything was under Linda's control. DeWitt was completely taking the bait. Linda raised her hand and lifted the Ghost King's chin. I want Master to dote on me one more time, and to serve me once as well. This instantly aroused the Ghost King's interest. Before Linda could react, he pressed her beneath him. You're quite bold. Since you're my fiancé, I'll reluctantly agree. As long as you're obedient, I will always cherish you. As he spoke, he lowered his head and bit down, and Linda's heart trembled fiercely. He actually used the word obedient. Is he raising me like a pet? Just like that, the Ghost King roamed over her body. Linda had already been kissed until her face was flushed red. While claiming her, he asked in a low voice, does Linda like this kind of service? Linda could no longer form complete sentences. Oh, of course I do. Just as he was about to succeed, the Ghost King suddenly regained clarity. No, the supply of faith hasn't connected yet. The Ghost King glanced at the intoxicated Linda. Is she deceiving me? Or have I not done enough? Linda quickly asked, Master, why did you stop? The Ghost King perfunctorily found an excuse. I've heard that human bodies are fragile. You're tired today as well. Rest more. Linda covered her torn dress with her outer garment. She couldn't figure out what step she had done wrong. Was it because she said she liked it? She recalled the butler saying that he liked colder beauties and especially disliked those who were too proactive. Sure enough, winning over this man is not easy. One careless move and I step on his landmine. Next time I must try harder and turn up the charm to the fullest. Before she could recover, the Ghost King asked Linda to go with him. Several hours passed. He kept leading Linda around the edge of the castle without saying a word. What exactly is he trying to do? Arriving at a broken wall, he stopped and stared at the cracks on it. Is he going to reinforce the castle's magic? The Ghost King raised his hand and cast a spell to repair it, leaving Linda puzzled. He actually had DeWitt do it personally. What exactly is he guarding against? After reinforcing the entire castle, he finally let Linda return to the room with him to rest. The Ghost King lying on the bed had already fallen into a deep sleep, and the petite Linda curled up in his arms. Could it be that after casting large-scale magic, he needs sleep to recover? A week had already passed. According to Linda's observations, every day the Ghost King would play games with the maids, reinforce the castle, and then fall into a long sleep. Before she could come back to her senses, she heard a familiar coquettish voice calling, Master, Master, where have you gone? Come catch me. Today DeWitt was also playing a chasing game with the maids. Linda hesitated about whether to activate her plan in advance. She was so absorbed in thought that she accidentally broke a teacup. The Ghost King glared viciously at Linda. Linda immediately bowed to apologize. The maids chattered complaints. She must have done it on purpose. We finally got a chance to serve the master, and she interrupted it. The little slut must be jealous. She's clearly seducing the master herself. Yet she comes to disturb him playing with us. Let's see how the master deals with her. The Ghost King also felt that Linda was jealous. He pinched Linda's chin. You don't want me to play games with the maids? Linda remembered the lesson from last time. This time she absolutely could not show jealousy again. She forced an awkward smile. Master can play with whomever you wish. It's your freedom. I will not interfere. The two glared at each other. The Ghost King said coldly, very well, but you've ruined my mood. The Ghost King directly hoisted the nearest maid onto his shoulder. No matter how Linda pleaded, it was useless. Linda immediately softened. Master, I'm willing to do anything to make it up to you. This immediately made the other maids grind their teeth and curse. The Ghost King ordered them all to shut up. Her serving me is fulfilling her duty as my fiancée, but she is still your mistress. Now get out. The Ghost King forcefully threw Linda onto the bed.
Speak.
What are you willing to do for me? The Vampire King heavily pressed his fiancée onto the bed. You just said yourself that you're willing to do anything for me, didn't you? As it turned out, the so-called anything meant accompanying the master on daily patrols of the castle. The Ghost King suppressed his anger. I didn't expect that in just 1 week, you've grasped my movements. Was that accidental or intentional? He then ordered Linda to come serve him. Linda panicked for a moment. Rest? Shouldn't master go patrol the castle first? At this moment, the Demon King was unbuttoning his shirt 1 button at a time. Of course we'll go after we finish our proper business. Linda could only obediently comply. Little did anyone know, this was exactly what Linda wanted. She also needed this opportunity and entangled with him intensely for several hours. In the end, the Demon King was so exhausted that he fell into a deep sleep. Linda carefully left the room, but the Demon King slowly opened his eyes. You finally couldn't sit still. He had long installed a sensing tracker on the ring. Let's see what my fiancé is really up to. Before long, Linda arrived at the prison and met the werewolf younger brother. Hole, I need your help. I've found the weakest point in the castle's barrier. The werewolf younger brother cried so hard he could barely speak. Just tell me what you need me to do. This time, I will definitely repay you. Linda handed the ring to the werewolf younger brother as a protective charm for his escape. Linda had her own backup plan. Emma, hiding in the shadows, watched all of this. Linda, I've caught your weakness again. Just you wait. On the bed, the Demon King looked at the monitor in his hand. She actually went to the prison. Soon after, the alarm for a prison break sounded. The Demon King hurriedly asked the butler about the situation outside. The butler had already sent people to pursue the escapee. Hearing that it was the werewolf who had escaped, the Demon King's heart suddenly sank. So you lied to me for him. He immediately planned to give his fiancée a surprise. At this moment, the Demon King and the butler were heading to find Linda together. The butler had not expected that his master, whose magic power was already running low, would still cast a sensing and tracking spell on Linda. Just how possessive is he of Miss Linda? The Demon King suddenly asked the butler, do you know the theory of taming? To tame a wild beast, the best method is to constantly satisfy her needs, give her a false sense of freedom, then yank her back, so she completely understands who her one and only master is. After she endures extreme fear and learns how to serve her master, she will eventually become the kind of pet that cannot escape even if the leash is loosened. The Demon King's smile grew increasingly wicked. Linda, I hope you like the surprise I've designed for you. At this moment, the werewolf younger brother was desperately striking the crack in the wall with a pickaxe. The Demon King demanded of the werewolf, where's Linda? Why is her ring with you? Where did she go? Before he could react, he was seized by the throat by the werewolf younger brother. You walked right into this yourself. This time, I will definitely kill you and put an end to all the absurdity in this castle. At that very moment, the butler arrived just in time to rescue him. The Demon King even had the leisure to coldly praise the werewolf younger brother's strength, saying it had improved considerably since last time. Then he asked icily, where did you hide Linda? The two of them had split up from the beginning. Linda had gone alone in the more dangerous direction and even gave the ring to the werewolf. The werewolf's face was filled with admiration for Linda. Coming back to his senses, he swung the pickaxe hard toward the Demon King. The Demon King's figure flashed as he swiftly dodged and ordered the butler to attack the werewolf at full speed. Fortunately, the werewolf dodged quickly enough. The butler hurriedly apologized to the Demon King. It was my negligence. I failed to catch him. The Demon King, however, believed he had let him go on purpose and angrily berated the butler as a useless waste. Go receive your punishment later. Afterward, he personally went to search for Linda's whereabouts. The butler was extremely dissatisfied inside. So the Demon King intends to control Linda with such despicable means? Noted. Half a day passed, and the entire castle was turned upside down. Yet there was still no news of Linda. The Demon King pressed his aching temples and viciously warned the guards, if you can't find her, you will all die. Suddenly, the Demon King sensed an extra presence in the room. He cautiously pushed the door open and walked in, only to find Linda wearing a sexy dress, holding red wine, calling out coquettishly, Master. This scene left the Demon King stunned. Linda bit her finger and complained shyly, why did Master come back so late? Before this, seeing Linda's pitiful expression, the Demon King could not muster any anger at all. He grabbed the hand she was using to pour wine and ordered in a low voice, come here immediately. Linda felt somewhat guilty. And you? The Demon King forcefully wrapped his arm around her waist. I want you to come here. He pressed his thigh against Linda and lowered his head to kiss her wildly. Panting heavily, Linda pushed the Demon King away. Master, why no, you can't. Before she could finish speaking, the Demon King sealed her lips again. Enough nonsense. What belongs to me will always be mine. She didn't leave me. She didn't run. The Demon King lifted Linda onto the table. I'm going to mark you temporarily. The innocent Linda had no idea what mark meant. The Demon King did not allow her to ask further. This is not a request. I must leave a mark on you so you are completely stained with my scent. You belong only to me. This mole is mine as well. He crazily sucked Linda's blood. So this is the taste of a fiancé, simply addictive. Then he ordered Linda to take off her clothes. Linda was immediately flustered. How did things suddenly progress to this step? Soon the two of them were naked in the room, completely out of control, on the table, on the sofa, entangled all the way until dawn. Linda pulled open the curtains and felt the morning sunlight. It's finally over. I can breathe a sigh of relief. She collapsed weakly onto the sofa. Her body was covered in ambiguous marks. The Demon King still chased after Linda for kisses. Linda resisted with all her strength, which angered the Demon King. Linda, you have no right to refuse me. Linda quickly soothed him. Let me sleep first, okay? The Demon King could not help but complain. Human stamina is really too poor. Her hand accidentally touched his chest, and the heartbeat was fast. The Demon King's face flushed red. I have no heart, and I've never had a heartbeat. Don't use human standards to speculate about me. Before he could finish speaking, Linda suddenly pulled him over and kissed him. Just kidding. The heartbeat is mine. The Demon King was utterly delighted by the teasing. Linda could finally lie on the bed and rest at ease. The theory of taming says that to tame a wild beast, the best method is to constantly satisfy his needs, numb and confuse his vigilance, then gradually tighten the rope around his neck. So, he completely understands who the real master of this game is. The Demon King had thought he always held the upper hand, unaware that both of them intended to scheme against each other. Both were high-level players. The Demon King whispered to Linda, "Sleep peacefully. I'll stay by your side." Linda curled her lips into an indulgent smile. Whether DeWitt truly doted on Linda, as he appeared to, he could never allow someone he regarded as a plaything to challenge his authority again and again, let alone this escape, which was most likely a carefully arranged setup by DeWitt. Recalling the clues she had sensed in the prison yesterday, as well as what the werewolf younger brother had said about possibly falling into DeWitt's trap, after realizing this, she understood that no matter how tempting the exit was, Linda could not truly leave and could only quietly return to her room. She picked up a bottle of red wine, pretending she had never intended to leave, slowly allowing DeWitt to completely lower his guard, thereby creating an opportunity for a real escape. Of course, she would also take the chance to draw the Demon King in even deeper and properly enjoy the sight of him falling from his pedestal, tormented by desire. Linda could clearly feel that the Demon King had been staring at her. The Demon King gazed at the sleeping Linda and sighed softly. "You will always be my plaything." After saying that, he gently pecked her lips. Unknowingly, time passed, and the Demon King maintained the same posture, staring at Linda for an entire day. That day, after the two of them indulged in another bout of passionate entanglement, Linda fell into a deep sleep from exhaustion. The Demon King found the butler and coldly mocked him. "After all these years, you still like tinkering with these little gadgets." He toyed with a tube of experimental reagent in his hand. In the past, in this castle, everything would reset to its original state at 12 o'clock. Everyone had to repeat, day after day, what had happened on the night of the Demon King's birthday 30 years ago. The vampires attended the banquet over and over again, and the maids accompanied the Demon King in the same games again and again. No matter how hard you work on your research, it will be cleared at midnight. Don't you find it ridiculous? The butler retorted, "It's nothing more than a small pastime. Besides, ever since Miss Linda appeared, time in the castle no longer repeats, and everyone's lives have truly begun to become richer." And the Demon King wanted the butler to join him in imprisoning Linda in the castle forever. Loris froze for a moment. The Demon King then revealed a crazed expression and forced the butler to help him concoct a poison, a kind that, once taken by a human, without altering their constitution, will turn them into an absolutely obedient puppet, a puppet that will never again have the thought of escaping. For the first time, the butler chose to defy his master. Isn't that a despicable method? You may be powerful and domineering, but you've never used such tactics. You've always wanted them to be willing. But in all these years, she is the only one who isn't willing. The butler vaguely realized that the Demon King had fallen in love with Linda. The Demon King told him to shut up and gave him only 3 days in the end, ordering him to produce the substance. After turning to leave, his face was livid. "I would never develop feelings for any plaything. I simply do not allow any plaything to escape my control. No matter what method I use, as long as I don't lose her again, that's enough." The Demon King was the king who possessed the greatest wealth in the world. Whether vampires or human kings, in his eyes, they were nothing but ants. The things he wanted had never required painstaking effort, yet somehow, he now needed to use such underhanded methods on a plaything. The butler's words echoed in his ears. The Demon King laughed at himself. "I would fall in love with an ant. The method doesn't matter, even if it costs her soul. It doesn't matter. After all, what I want is merely a private toy that will never leave me. At this time, in the medical room, the butler Murray mocked Loris. You heard the master's words, didn't you? And you still insist on recognizing him as your master? But Loris still remembered the Demon King's life-saving grace. Murray was unconvinced. Even if he personally harms the Miss Linda you care about most? Cold sweat broke out on Loris. I don't like Miss Linda. I'm only grateful to her. Murray sneered and cursed angrily. You're a coward. A spineless coward. Loris shot back at Murray. Have you fallen in love with Miss Linda? You like her? This remark nearly drove Murray mad. None of us are worthy of liking her. We are filthy insects living in the sewers. So-called affection from us would only be a stain on her. She is pure and deserves everyone's admiration. So we must tell Miss Linda all of DeWitt's plans. As night fell, Loris rashly walked into Linda's room. The vampire butler suddenly barged into the girl's room, intending to tell her about the Demon King's plan to develop an obedience poison. Before he could finish speaking, he saw the dense kiss marks on Linda's neck. The master clearly never touches those women, yet Miss Linda's scent has changed. There's an extra trace of desire in her blood. This shouldn't be so. Miss Linda should be the purest. No one is worthy of someone so beautiful. She shouldn't belong to DeWitt. Before telling her about this matter, the butler wanted to ask Linda to agree to a small request first, which was to touch him again, like last time. Linda froze on the spot. Touch you? DeWitt just left not long ago, and he suddenly barged in, asking me to touch him. What exactly does he want? Could he be trying to stage some scene of catching us in the act in front of DeWitt? Then I die miserably, especially with his madness. Since his fiancée likes it so much, he might bring back a few more men and make me play slowly in front of him. After all, DeWitt is the kind of pervert who plays big. And Loris is too hard to figure out. At first meeting, he seemed like a rule-abiding gentleman, but now he looks more like a complete pervert. Linda began to suspect that he might have two entirely different personalities. Linda did not agree and only coldly told him to speak if he had something to say. If you don't want to say it, then don't disturb me. No matter what, the person before me is absolutely not someone I can entrust with trust, nor can I exchange my sincerity for his information. The butler said, "This isn't a transaction. I'll tell you the information now." Yet inwardly he thought, one day, I will win Linda's sincere heart in my own way. The butler told Linda every detail of DeWitt's plan. After listening, Linda felt her scalp tingle. I've already given him everything without reservation, and he still wants to play these tricks. It seems it's time to show him some color. The butler begged Linda to leave quickly. She must never become a plaything in DeWitt's bed. Instead, this aroused Linda's suspicion. Why would Laura suddenly help me? Does he think I would still trust him like before? When Linda asked in return who had been behind the vampire riot, he suddenly stiffened, because at that time it was he who had written a letter instigating the maid Emma to assassinate Linda. He could only make up an excuse and brush it off vaguely. But Linda no longer trusted the butler at all, and instead began a new plan. She decided to first have the butler follow the Ghost King's idea, and actually make a poison that could make people lose their sanity and be manipulated at will. The butler had no choice but to obediently comply. As he left, he secretly looked back, thinking Linda probably hadn't discovered that matter yet. Well, after all, he had once harbored malicious intent and wanted to harm her. So how could he have the right to hope for her forgiveness? Just as he was about to walk out dejectedly, he was stopped by Linda. Suddenly, Linda smiled with unusual gentleness. "Thank you, Loris." She said that if there were such news again next time, he must be sure to tell her. And after speaking, she even blew him a kiss from afar. The butler was so easily coaxed by her that his heart blossomed with joy. After closing the door, he was still savoring Linda's smile. She is truly so warm. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that DeWitt simply didn't deserve such a wonderful Miss Linda. If he could control DeWitt, then wouldn't Linda be able to stay here safely forever? That's right, as long as DeWitt was imprisoned, Miss Linda could belong exclusively to him and Loris. Little did he know that Linda had already grown suspicious. Loris's reaction just now was too abnormal. He must have once harbored the thought of killing her. Emma had targeted Linda from the very beginning. The two of them had clearly once regarded Linda as a thorn in their side. Then most likely, they had once colluded with each other. Linda had already thought of a steady and safe plan to leave the castle. At this time, Loris asked Murray in confusion whether they were really going to betray their master. How can you be sure that after imprisoning the master, Miss Linda would be willing to stay? Murray roared viciously. Don't you want that? If you don't, then give me control of the body for this week, and I'll do it. Loris was unwilling. Control of the body this week belongs to me, and Miss Linda is free and noble. We should respect her choice. However, the master seems to care greatly about her blood. Her blood can awaken the strange power sleeping underground. Murray had thought Loris would, as before, insist on those so-called hypocritical rules of ruler and subject. He hadn't expected that this time he didn't intend to be a gentleman in the traditional sense. Loris, however, emphasized that he was still the gentleman who upheld kindness and loyalty. But one of a gentleman's creeds is to do everything possible to protect the woman he loves, even if it means walking the path of betraying his master. After saying this, he turned to repair the wall that had been broken by the master. At this moment, a patrolling imp hurried over after hearing the noise. He happened to see Loris, and the first thing he heard was Loris mocking that the imp's clothes were somewhat dirty, hoping he would pay attention in the future to maintaining a noble and dignified appearance. This almost made the imp explode with anger. That hypocritical ogre, if it weren't for the Ghost King protecting him, I would have torn him to pieces long ago. At this moment, the werewolf was hiding in the shadows observing, while trying to find where DeWitt had hidden Linda. He suddenly smashed the damaged wall with a pickaxe. Unexpectedly, the one hidden inside was the butler. After learning that tonight the Ghost King planned to play with her 2 more hours, the butler immediately sought cooperation with the werewolf younger brother, planning to capture DeWitt together and imprison him completely. At this time, Linda had to serve the Ghost King again. When he saw the portrait Linda had painted for him, he praised it endlessly. Linda couldn't help but complain inwardly. It's so ugly, and he can still praise it. She recalled that after her father died when she was little, her mother had dreamed of marrying her into a wealthy family, and for that enrolled her in many art training classes. Unfortunately, compared to art, I have more talent for fighting. Seeing Linda distracted, the Ghost King directly lifted her up high. What are you thinking about? Linda hurriedly denied it. Judging from his expression, the Ghost King seemed to be in an exceptionally good mood today. He merely punished Linda by making her serve 2 extra hours tonight. Before Linda could react, the Ghost King kissed her, and the two became increasingly entangled and wild. The Ghost King complained that Linda was too slow. Still too slow. Anyway, he had already given Loris 3 days, but a qualified butler should have finished making the medicine tonight. Once the potion was ready, there would be no need to worry about her escaping forever. The Ghost King wanted Linda to say something pleasant to please him. Do you like me? Confess to me. Linda immediately understood. She kept murmuring, Master, I love you so much. If only a day had 48 hours, then every day I could spend double the time with you. Yet the Ghost King discovered that the power of faith had not appeared at all. Everything Linda said was a lie. The more she spoke like this, the emptier the place in her heart felt. This only made the Ghost King's possessiveness stronger, and he almost frantically sucked Linda's blood. He even lowered his head to nibble at Linda's 2 soft mounds. Linda was tossed about until she felt shy and helpless, no matter how false her words were. After several hours of frenzy, the Ghost King's body was covered with the marks she had left behind. Today he was especially happy, especially satisfied, because the girl had served the Ghost King for several whole hours, making him so satisfied that his heart bloomed with joy. He casually rewarded her with a mountain of gold and silver. Linda's eyes filled with desire. The crown of King Elizabeth, paintings from the Norman era, countless antiques and jewels. If this money were outside, there would be no need to work at all. It would be enough to live a carefree life for an entire lifetime. Unexpectedly, the Ghost King looked smug and said that there were hundreds more rooms like this filled with gold and silver. Linda stared at the Ghost King's face that hid schemes. He was probably plotting something again, and besides, she couldn't even get out. These things trapped in the castle were of no use at all. Instead, Linda felt he was testing her and quickly flattered the Ghost King to gain deeper trust. Compared to gifts, the favor you bestow upon me is the most precious. Other than that, I desire nothing. Little did he know that Linda was calculating inwardly. If it's on the way when I escape, I might as well come in and grab a few things to take with me. The Ghost King glared at her viciously. You want nothing, why? Is it because you don't want to owe me? Or are you planning to leave here without any attachments while I'm not paying attention? Linda hadn't expected that what she was thinking seemed to have been guessed by him. Linda hurriedly denied it, but the Ghost King kept pressing on. That's exactly what you're thinking. Don't even think about leaving me. He suddenly kissed Linda again. The Ghost King tried to roughly tear off Linda's clothes. He held her tightly with force. No matter how Linda struggled, it was useless. No, Master. This only made the Ghost King even crazier. He pushed the girl down onto the mountain of gold, disregarding Linda's will and forcibly trying to enter her. Listening to Linda's repeated pleas, the sweat-drenched Ghost King only sped up. You want nothing, so this is how you reject me? The Ghost King picked up a string of pearl necklace and tightly bound Linda's hands. Linda was left at the Ghost King's mercy like this. I won't allow it. I won't allow you to want nothing. After a day and a night, Linda weakly put on her clothes. One sentence from the Ghost King made Linda's heart tremble. Let's hold a wedding. Linda thought, does he need to do it so many times every day that he's lost his reason? If that's the case, then I can carry out the next step of my plan and leave here. According to DeWitt's habits, there are still 10 minutes before he returns to his room and finds me gone. Emma harbors ill intentions toward DeWitt and is even more jealous of me. If she really has the ability to control vampires, she can use them to create chaos for DeWitt, and that way I can buy some time. Last time I already found the weak point of the castle barrier. Only then did Linda remember the werewolf. I wonder if he has escaped. In the corridor, Faintly, there came the sound of a group of people condemning her. It seems all the maids are inside. Linda had no choice but to go in and play it by ear. Ajay was filled with anger. You shameless woman. How dare you show up? Linda glanced around at everyone and didn't see Emma. Only then did the surrounding maids realize that she had been gone for a long time. Emma, disguised as Ajay, suddenly panicked. You weren't favored anymore and were driven out, so you came to ask maid Emma to plead for you, didn't you? Linda quickly sensed it. Her attitude seemed much tougher than the other maids. The two glared at each other. Linda felt that no matter who it was, as long as she could stir up conflict, that would be enough. You're really hoping I've been kicked out? Sorry to disappoint you. This made the surrounding maids even angrier. Ajay slowly walked up to Linda. Maybe you've already fallen out of favor. You're just bluffing. Linda warned Ajay lightly. If you dare to lay a hand on me, aren't you afraid that I haven't lost favor at all, and that you'll be the one punished by DeWitt instead? This made Ajay burst into laughter, yet her face suddenly twisted. You're just a human with foul-smelling blood. Even if you're favored, how many days can it last? To what extent can you be favored? Can you make that master die for you? You're nothing but a noisy toy. Several people were about to make a move against Linda. Linda counted down silently in her heart. 3, 2, 1 until DeWitt arrived at the scene. The Ghost King rushed in furiously. All of you, stop. Ajay ran eagerly to the master. Master, why are you here? Ajay has been waiting for you here. Ajay looked completely confident. After all, she believed she possessed the most beautiful face. Unexpectedly, the Ghost King didn't even glance at her and pushed her aside.
Get lost.
He went straight to Linda. Didn't I grant you a private room? What are you doing in a place like this? Without my order, don't come out. Linda put on a pitiful expression. I don't want to stay there alone anymore. Before she could finish speaking, the Ghost King anxiously demanded, give me a reason. Linda thought, I'm just a human. Sooner or later I'll lose favor. You ignore everyone else's feelings and dote only on me. Once I lose favor, they will definitely bully me. Let me serve you like the other ordinary maids. The Ghost King directly pulled Linda into his arms. Then marry me. Once you become my wife, no one will dare touch a single finger of yours. This struck Ajay like a bolt from the blue. Linda could actually coax the master into granting her the position of wife. But clearly it was I who awakened the disaster and gave up everything in exchange for beauty. Why can't I still win the master's heart? Could it be that only that person's face can win the master's favor? The Ghost King carried Linda back to the room. He slowly unbuttoned her clothes. It hasn't even been an hour yet again? Linda quickly resisted and curiously asked the Ghost King, are we really getting married? The kind like humans do? Through wealth or poverty, in sickness or in health? Never leaving each other? This question left the Ghost King momentarily speechless. He could only let Linda touch his heart. You still seem not to realize, whether in life or death, you can never leave me. Then do you love me? The Ghost King was silent for a moment. Love? Do you think I would fall in love with a human? But you do have a very enticing scent. As he spoke, he leaned in to smell Linda's fragrance. The Ghost King dared not admit that he had already fallen in love with her. Linda felt she had been sentimental, since the so-called marriage was merely an excuse to trap her with poison. Then I'll say some sweet words to deceive you too. The vampire lowered his head and sucked on his own accord, but his fingertips touched Linda's falling tears. Linda softly said, I think I've fallen in love with you. Meanwhile, the Ghost King was still licking and biting Linda's two soft mounds. Only then did he slowly raise his head. Linda murmured hazily that she had lost her father when she was very young. People always bullied me, and it's been a long time since someone treated me as well as you do. Protecting me, doting on me, giving me endless joy.
I love you, master.
As Linda spoke such mushy words, she deceived the Ghost King. But before he could continue possessing her, he was interrupted by the butler who barged in. Master, something has happened. This made the Ghost King furious. Who allowed you to interrupt me? The matter was urgent, and the butler disregarded the rules. Someone has broken into the basement. The Ghost King had no choice but to stop what he was doing. He kissed Linda and told her to wait obediently for his return. After the Ghost King left, she revealed a strange smile. As if everything was within her plan, she regarded the Ghost King as a dog. When I release the leash, will you come chasing after me, DeWitt? Linda told that person to come out, and a wolf ear appeared from behind the curtain. It was the werewolf younger brother who admired Sister Linda. Linda thought the basement incident was caused by the werewolf younger brother. The werewolf younger brother hurriedly denied it. It turned out this was part of his and the butler's plan. You go to Miss Linda's room first, and I'll lure DeWitt away. Before he could finish speaking, they heard footsteps coming from outside the door. That person walked straight toward the place rumored to house the disaster. At the critical moment, Murray appeared. It was Emma, because it was he who had told Emma back then that awakening the disaster with blood could grant power. Unexpectedly, she had truly succeeded. So Ajay was actually Emma. Loris finally came up with a way that would not harm his master and would also allow Linda to gain her freedom. Before the Demon King carried Linda back to the room, the werewolf had already sneaked in. As soon as Linda entered the room, she saw a wolf's tail sticking out from beneath the curtain. Fortunately, she put on a crying act, diverting DeWitt's attention. After learning that the woman who had broken into the basement had long purple hair and wore a purple dress, Ajay immediately appeared in Linda's mind. The werewolf described it. There was a force there that made people unable to approach. Perhaps this was the reason DeWitt kept reinforcing the castle. Linda planned that before leaving, she would conveniently gather some funds for her escape, and also take a look at that secret chamber to find DeWitt's weakness as soon as possible. At this moment, the Demon King and the butler went to the basement together. They found that the person was already gone. DeWitt viciously questioned, "Who did you lure here?" A mysterious force rushed forward. "Hee, how long has it been since you came to see me?" The very first sentence was so hurtful. "I'm suppressed by your power and can't even step out of the room. Who could I possibly lure? Why couldn't it be that they came to find me on their own? Maybe your little fiancé prefers me." The Demon King's fury was visible to the naked eye.
Dream on.
She could never fall in love with you. The Calamity kept challenging the Demon King's bottom line. What if the one who came to find me was her? Provoking the Demon King into roaring, "If she dares, I'll kill her with my own hands." After saying that, he turned and left. The one he ran into head-on was actually Linda. Linda looked at the Demon King affectionately and softly called out, "Master." The Demon King asked in a low voice, "Didn't I tell you to wait for me in the room?" Linda, hiding in the corner, stared blankly, helplessly watching the two of them leave. The young werewolf beside her stared at Linda without blinking. Linda was puzzled. "What? Do you suspect I'm a fake?" The young werewolf's survival instinct surged to the max. "I can tell the difference. Miss Linda is one of a kind. I was just frightened by that mysterious force. Not only her appearance, but even her scent could be forged exactly the same. She thought she would be happy after leaving the Demon King, but now she felt as if something was missing in her heart. Even DeWitt had been deceived. After all, they had spent so much time together day and night. Yet he had mistaken someone else for her so easily. Perhaps it was a heaven-sent opportunity. They were just about to begin their escape plan, but the werewolf stopped her. "Let's check the secret chamber first." Linda couldn't imagine it. There was such a powerful force underground, yet it was still suppressed by DeWitt. But he was willing to help Ajay? Was it because he was eager to help others? There must be a price to pay. If we rashly go there, it might be even more dangerous. Upon hearing this, the young werewolf began worshipping Linda again. "Big sister is so smart, I like you so much." Linda gently stroked the werewolf's face. "You're so brave and kind. In my eyes, that's more precious than any power." The werewolf's heart raced. He had always been considered the dumbest child in the tribe and had never been praised like this before. After being touched by Linda, his body inexplicably heated up, and he unconsciously moved closer to her. At this moment, Ajay, who had taken on Linda's appearance, kept pressing the Demon King. "Are we really getting married?" The Demon King always kept his word. Upon hearing the affirmative answer, Ajay was overjoyed. She had to let the real Linda see that the one Master was going to marry now was her, even if the skin originally belonged to you. "The one who would truly marry Master would be me, Emma." She asked the Demon King to announce this matter in front of all the vampires in the castle. As she spoke, she threw herself into the Demon King's arms. "I really hope everyone knows that I'm going to marry the Master I love most." The Demon King looked at such an initiative Linda and felt deeply satisfied. Ajay finally experienced the Master's gentle gaze. How hateful. If Calamity gave me another chance, I would definitely kill her. But the chance is already gone. Even this opportunity had been exchanged with her life, because Ajay's original face simply could not bewitch DeWitt. She could only beg Calamity to change her face again. When Calamity heard that DeWitt was going to marry that human, she was first shocked. Then she sneered, "That DeWitt who's obsessed with lustful games? I'd like to see what that human looks like." She told Ajay to imagine the human's appearance in her mind. That way, the face swap could be completed. At this moment, Butler Loris gathered all the servants. Then he had the Demon King appear. When the butler saw Ajay, he deliberately pretended to be surprised. "The dress Miss Linda is wearing, could it be the one Miss Linda left in the secret chamber?" As soon as the Demon King heard this, his face immediately darkened. He demanded, "You've been to the secret chamber?" Ajay panicked and quickly denied it. She angrily accused the butler of talking nonsense. The Demon King recalled what Calamity had said. He was almost certain that she had betrayed him. He grabbed Ajay's neck forcefully, and no matter how she begged, it was useless. She kept repeating, "Master, I love you, Master." At this moment, the werewolf who failed to escape and Linda were hiding in a corner. Hole was already half collapsed against Linda's shoulder. The girl had just escaped from the Demon King's bed. The next second, she was pinned against the wall by the young werewolf. The werewolf was too strong. She couldn't push him away at all, until his hand reached a certain place and even scratched her skin. Linda couldn't cry out loudly. Otherwise, it would alert the patrolling soldiers. She could only swing her fist and punch him. Only then did the werewolf regain his senses and put on a pitiful look. "What happened?" Linda looked displeased, hands on her hips. "You still have the nerve to ask? You almost devoured me." The werewolf awkwardly changed the subject. Only then did he see that Linda's thigh had been scratched by his claws. Fresh blood dripped onto the ground. At this time, the calamity in the basement was controlling everything. With just a little aphrodisiac magic, she easily pushed everything in the direction she wanted. She smelled the delicious blood of Linda in the air. Lovely human lady, I created a substitute for you that won't be exposed. How will you thank me? Then use yourself to repay me. At this moment, the werewolf simply bandaged Linda. He could only keep apologizing because in order to kill prey, wounds caused by werewolf claws are difficult to heal easily. As he bandaged her, lust rose in his heart. I'll have to offend Miss Linda a little. He bent down and pressed his lips to Linda's wound, because only a werewolf's saliva can help the wound heal. Linda was in so much pain she could barely breathe. This feels so strange. She forced herself not to think wildly. Hole was just a simple-minded child. He was only helping with the treatment. Not long after, the wound slowly healed. The werewolf had to return to the werewolf tribe as soon as possible. He wanted to invite Linda to leave with him, since werewolves and vampires are mortal enemies. Maybe there was a way to completely kill vampires. The werewolf took Linda's hand and ran toward the exit. But they heard a vampire's roar. Linda, the Demon King, had personally strangled his beloved fiancé, unaware that the real Linda was already preparing to escape the castle. Hearing the Demon King's heart-wrenching roar, Linda couldn't help but turn back for a few more glances. The butler advised the Demon King to restrain his grief. A human body cannot come back from the dead. But the Demon King could not accept this outcome. He ordered everyone to get out. Holding the fake Linda, he was in agony. I won't allow you to die, Linda. Wake up. You're not allowed to leave me. The real Linda took in this scene completely. He looked so pained. Is he grieving because of my death? After all, he had even wanted to use drugs to keep me by his side. The werewolf noticed Linda's sadness. Big sister, you hate DeWitt, right? Of course. He's my father's killer. I can't possibly not hate him. Yet Linda began to care about the Demon King's thoughts. Could it be that he had truly fallen in love with me? She then laughed at herself. How ridiculous. Taking the werewolf, she walked toward the exit. The next time we meet will be your death. Soon after, the two crawled out through a tunnel, but they were discovered by the guards. The werewolf hurriedly covered for Linda. Just like that, Linda kept running toward the east. She didn't know how long she had been running. When she looked back, she found that DeWitt had actually chased after her. After being treated as a plaything by the Demon King every day, she had finally escaped the castle, only to be seized by a strange man. He grabbed Linda by the neck. She couldn't break free at all. Unexpectedly, at that moment, the Demon King also appeared before her. So, who was the man behind her? The man mocked coldly. You haven't tried being intimate with another man in front of him, have you? Or do you want him to join as well? Although I don't like him, your body's reaction is really interesting. But in Linda's mind, the one she wanted to kiss was DeWitt. It instantly ignited the man's fury. Go to hell. Linda suddenly woke up. It was just a dream. What she could confirm was that she had already escaped safely. As she was about to get up, she found that her entire pair of pants was soaked. The werewolf noticed that Linda's whole face was as red as an apple. Embarrassed, Linda told him to turn around. She needed to change her clothes. It was clearly just a dream, yet it felt as if it had really happened. The werewolf's nose picked up that it wasn't sweat, but something else. Confused, he asked, do humans also go into heat? From the werewolf, she learned that this house had been arranged by Loris. It inevitably made one wonder what Loris was planning. After changing her pants, she prepared to leave, since he had once colluded with a maid to make things difficult for her. She truly couldn't trust this person. Even worse, he held the secret of her fake death. I can only think of one countermeasure. At this moment, Loris saw that the wooden house door was wide open. He immediately sensed something was wrong. Rushing inside, he saw that the werewolf had actually fainted on the ground. When the werewolf woke up, he told Loris Linda was abducted. At this moment, Linda, who had escaped, looked back at everything and sighed that she was finally free. Meanwhile, the Demon King in the ancient castle was in deep grief over the death of the fake Linda. When the Vampire King learned that his beloved had betrayed him, he angrily grabbed her by the neck. Hearing her still saying, Master, I love you, the Demon King showed not the slightest emotion, until tears slid from the corner of her eyes. The Demon King suddenly threw her to the ground. I'll give you one chance to explain. Linda had not yet recovered her senses. Just as she was about to explain, an invisible force pierced through her heart. Blood flowed from her 7 orifices, and before dying she was still saying, I love you. She collapsed into the Demon King's arms. The Demon King realized it too late and let out a heart-wrenching roar. Even now, he could not accept her death. He clearly hadn't used much force. How had it turned out like this? The butler judged based on human physical signs. Miss Linda likely died of a sudden heart attack, but the Demon King stubbornly refused to believe it. We must find a human doctor. He wanted to give Linda's hand one last kiss, but he discovered the ring was missing. He had installed a tracker inside that ring. He should have been able to find her. He sensed its location. It was actually at the foot of the mountain. At this time, The human town was bustling with excitement. Unexpectedly, the ring had been picked up by a maid. When you were dismissed, didn't you take anything valuable? The other maids still fantasized about returning one day, thinking their master had only been temporarily bewitched by that human girl. At this moment, Linda was sitting not far away, thanks to the equipment given by the werewolf. She could conceal her aura and successfully disguise herself as a vampire. She hadn't even had time to secretly celebrate when the Demon King arrived with a team of guards. The maids all looked over with worship in their eyes. Linda hid in a corner, not daring to meet his gaze. Did Hole let something slip? Fortunately, she hadn't been discovered yet. The Demon King stared viciously at that maid. She was actually wearing Linda's ring on her hand. You shouldn't take what doesn't belong to you. The maid hurriedly explained that she had picked it up in a secret passage of the castle. The Demon King was stunned. A secret passage? At this time, the castle's main gate had already been sealed, making entry and exit impossible. Linda had no choice but to escape from the second-floor balcony. Unexpectedly, when she jumped, she landed right on top of a white-haired man. Not only was the man not angry, he even teased Linda. Throwing yourself into someone's arms is a very dangerous act. When Linda saw the man's face clearly, she froze. This man looked exactly like DeWitt. She immediately pressed a knife to his neck. The blade cut his skin and blood flowed out. It was a human. The white-haired man watched his blood slide down along the knife's edge. If you don't stop the bleeding, I'm going to turn into a corpse. Hearing that DeWitt in the distance was already preparing to withdraw with his guards. Only then did Linda get the chance to slip away. At this time, the white-haired man put on a weak appearance. Leaning half against Linda's shoulder, he said, "Now you can be sure I'm not that person, right?" Linda could indeed feel that this man's personality was completely different. Perhaps he only looked similar. The white-haired man asked seriously, "Was that person looking for you?" Linda immediately denied it, but the man suddenly pressed her against the wall. "Since you won't confess, I'll have to confirm it myself." Linda's eyes carried a hint of vigilance. "Are you threatening me? Miss, you were the one who pulled a knife on me first."
Why does it sound like I'm the bad guy?
"To me, you're the most dangerous one." Linda pushed him away and was about to leave, but the white-haired man called out to her, "This is vampire territory. You carry a scent of blood. If you go out like that, it will easily cause a disturbance." Linda lowered her head and only then noticed the bloodstains on her clothes. She looked at the man in front of her. He seemed truly innocent. Moreover, he was just an ordinary human with no ability to fight back and didn't appear to be much of a threat. So Linda borrowed his bathroom. Linda hadn't had a proper bath for many days. Using the white-haired man's bathroom, she took a thorough hot shower. After quite a while, a man suddenly hugged Linda from behind. His hands roamed restlessly over her body. She thought it was DeWitt, but when she opened her eyes, she found it was that white-haired man. Before she could dodge, she was forcefully kissed. As the two of them sank into the water together, Linda abruptly woke up and realized it was another dream. Yet she couldn't understand why she would dream about this man. Hearing the movement of the white-haired man standing outside the bathroom door, Linda felt fortunate that she had locked the bathroom door from the inside at the very beginning. But why, after leaving the castle, was she still having such dreams? It must be that lust-crazed DeWitt's fault. At this time, the white-haired man came over carrying food. Hearing the movement, Linda asked through the door. She learned that at this inn, he had discovered a werewolf. Linda looked at the white-haired man. "For now, I can only rely on him." She immediately put on an innocent expression. "I really want to go home soon. My name is Carol." The white-haired man suddenly became a little shy. "My name is Crest." Linda began to fabricate a story, saying she had actually fled here because too many people coveted her family's property. Someone had even tried to force her into marriage, so she had been compelled to leave home, only to get lost nearby. "How about we travel together?" The white-haired man looked at her with clear eyes and immediately agreed. "Then when the sun rises, we'll set off." For now, Linda could only escape from vampire territory first. After that, she would find a way to look for the werewolf.